Well, happy anniversary to us, and
Thank
happy
you.
birthday to you.
Thank you. Yes, it's an exciting day. I turned 55, and today is the 1 year anniversary of the start of our 60 by 60 journey. It was one year ago today. We were on the Great Wall of China.
I can't believe it's been an entire year that we've been traveling the world. It just, it went so fast, and we've been to 13 countries.
We thought we'd take this opportunity to sort of look back on the year and answer some questions that we get all the time about our journey. We are not going to go down the road of what's your favorite country, because it's really hard to compare. Every place is different, and we love most places for different reasons. We haven't seen each other's answers to sort of highlight some of the things that happened to us over the past year.
Right.
So you have the list.
Okay, so what were your top 3 experiences this year?
So my 3 favorite experiences are probably pretty obvious. The Great Wall of China obviously was one of the most magical things I've ever done. I did it, we were there at sunset. It was not in a tourist area. It was just amazing. The Monarch Butterfly Refuge was, of course, another emotional and really moving experience for me. And I had a struggle with this third one because there are so many cool things that we've done, but it would probably have to be the pandas, just because of how that whole day transpired and how we found ourselves in the throngs of hundreds of, maybe even hundreds of thousands or whatever.
Well, thousands at least.
A lot of people. And yet we found our way to being with the pandas all by ourselves.
That was quite incredible, the panda thing. So, Great Wall of China, absolutely. And I had been to the Great Wall before in Bottling. Bottling reminds me of Disneyland if they had a Great Wall ride or something. I mean, it's just packed. You're moving through people, kind of shouldering through, and it's all restored. And again, it's authentic, but it's not really, because it's so restored. And you have to go through the gift shops and all this stuff. So when we went, section of the wall hadn't been restored, and I think we saw 3 or 4 other people. That was really a stunning experience because it was so authentic. It was the real thing. I mean, we're walking on bricks that, were made thousands of years ago. Another one would be Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztecs. To actually be walking in the places where the Aztec rulers, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it is
not a surprise that some ruins made his list. I have seen more ruins this year than I ever thought possible.
So an unruinous event for me, or experience, was the Bosphorus. So we're entered into the Black Sea to actually see the expanse of the Black Sea open. And then I was surprised by this beautiful bridge that framed it too.
Yeah.
It was absolutely gorgeous.
It was pretty, and it was a beautiful
really
day.
For me.
It was a really beautiful day.
It was a perfect day as well.
There as well.
So what were some places that most surprised you?
The thing that surprised me the most was China. And I say that because my initial impression was that people were oppressed, that it was dark, that
this dystopian, controlled, authoritarian
people were sort of
society.
going through their motions, but it is not. It is colorful and bright and lively, and people are happy, and there's literally dancing in the streets every day.
Every day, yeah. Mine was Belgrade. I have this idea of what Serbia is like, and it's kind of dystopian, like you're talking about, but maybe on the other, less controlled side. And it was just absolutely beautiful, and the people were so nice and friendly, and the meat, the food was so good there. Belgrade is a beautiful city, and there's so much going on, and the Danube and the Sava. Go to Serbia. Where would you spend more time?
So obviously I'll never get enough of Italy, ever. I mean, we spent a month there last summer, spent a month there this summer. I will always want to spend more time there. I would like to spend more time in Greece. We spent 2 weeks in Athens, in a little neighborhood outside of Athens. I'd love to spend some time going around the country more, and time on an island.
So I would spend more time in Serbia and North Macedonia and that Balkans area. We went to the mountains for a couple places, in a couple places, Prizren and in the lake, and they were just absolutely beautiful and developed in a really positive way, not like overdeveloped, like the Bottling Great Wall of Disneyland in China, but they had all the amenities and things that you would want and ease to get around, but it wasn't overdeveloped.
Yeah.
All right, wow. How about the opposite of that? Less time.
Pristina, Kosovo, and a week in the city was probably more than enough. It was more than enough. I don't know. I just didn't feel, I didn't have a connection there. I usually get a connection, and I just didn't.
I agree. And so it's like a new city, even though it's not. So it's not developed for things for tourists to do necessarily. There's a beautiful walking street and statue of Bill Clinton, but other than that, what do you do there?
I will say, everybody we met in Pristina they were just so friendly, open, and nice. We got so many great tips and ideas and great conversation.
What country had the best food?
Oh.
And this is an amateur question because it's like asking, would you rather have chocolate cake or pizza? You want one or the other. They're both good, but you want them at different times. So maybe what was some of your favorite food in each country?
I mean, obviously the favorite food is Italian food. I could eat pasta every day. The bread is fantastic. There's great fresh cheeses, the wine, just everything. So
I agree. Overall, Italian food in Italy just kicks ass and it's great. In France, though, the baguettes with the cheese,
the brie, the fresh. We went pretty much a full week just eating brie cheese and baguettes and wine, and eventually we decided we needed to put some vegetables back in our diet, so we just put the vegetables on the brie cheese and
made it like
bread.
a sandwich essentially.
So good.
And in Marseille, the kebabs and the pastis were great. In Mexico, the tacos al pastor, of course, I ate that literally every day.
Every day. 5 of them. Every day.
So and in the Balkans, the meat in the Balkans is so good, the grilled meats. And in Serbia, that's what you go to Serbia for. Go to Belgrade and just eat meat for a couple of weeks. You'll be fine. What was your biggest lesson learned?
So as many of you know, I have a day job, and I let the job overtake me and like just sort of dominate my thought processes. And I don't know that I was able to thoroughly embrace our travels over the last few months as much as I want to have. I still had amazing times, and I'm still glad I can take my job with me wherever I go, per se. But the lesson I learned was to make sure to make the decisions that support your goals. So that was my biggest lesson. Just trust my gut. Don't do things because it looks good on paper. Because it doesn't.
You got to do what's right for you, not because that's what we're told is right.
Yeah.
So for me, it was learning the language. We went to a couple of countries, including Turkey. Which I didn't take the time to learn the language before I got
bits
there.
Of it.
Yeah, even a little bit, and that for me really put a damper on it because I couldn't even order, and it really not speaking the language puts a big barrier and space between you and everyone else in the country. And speaking just a little, it erases that almost immediately.
And most of our amazing experiences, or at least some of them, came because of our bad speaking abilities. So.
Right. People so appreciate the fact that you're learning, we're in Albania, we've got a little bit of language. Who learns Albania?
The language is so hard here.
Really hard.
So hard.
But, we've been invited out to do things, and it's been great. So learn the language, and that's why I came up with the Speak in a Week. So from now on, Kim and I are taking 1 week before we get to the next country. We're going to the United States next, so we're going to spend 1 week learning English so we can communicate.
I can do that one, I'm confident.
And the second one was our accommodations. It's worth spending extra to get a nice place in an area that we want to be in, like city center or at the beach or whatever, and one that's quiet so we get enough sleep, which we battled several times on this trip.
It's amazing how just a little bit goes a long way when you're looking at accommodations. It doesn't have to be $100 a night jump. It can be something as simple as $10 or $15.
Right.
So we're really evaluating our accommodations more thoroughly now.
What won't you leave home without?
Okay. Ziploc bags.
Yep.
Spices.
Yep.
And enough stuff for my face and hair. Ziploc bags, they just come in so handy. A lot of times we're in an Airbnb and for cooking, they don't have ways to store the food, so we can use it for that. Or we buy spices or something along the way that needs to be stored, or you get a new product and it's leaking and you put it in.
Even stuff that's not like a powder or a liquid, it's just like storing. I know at one point I had different cords in small bags. It just separate it so you can pull out something rather than this mess in your bag.
And then finding hair and like makeup that works for you is really hard on the road for a lot of reasons. A, you can't read the boxes, so you're sort of buying things you think are right.
So I won't leave home without my Leatherman anymore. It is seldom used, but when you need it, you need it. So in Guatemala, we were in an Airbnb that didn't have a corkscrew. So that came in handy. We got into our wine. And in Albania, we had trouble with my computer. We called the local computer guy, and he said, oh, it's this cable. Well, I had the screwdrivers to open it up and some little extra tools to help. And I know we've used like the pliers part of it for many things. Again, I'll go for 2 months and I'll never unpack it. But when you need it, you need it. The second thing is the day pack, a good day pack. That backpack is great for when you go shopping. You can put things in it. Obviously, it becomes the carry-on when you're flying, and it can carry a lot of weight too, which is necessary on certain airlines. By this time next year, what countries do you want to be in?
I would like to spend some time in South America. I also hope that we can put together a South Pacific travel block over the summer, because I want to go meet up. I'm in a mastermind with a group of ladies, and they're all Australian, and then there's me, and they're doing an in-meetup person.
In-person meetup?
Yeah. And so I want to try to get there for that.
So I would like to get to Thailand. You know, we lived there for a couple of years. I haven't been there for 4 or 5 years. I have a lot of friends that I'm still in contact with, and I just miss it. Really, you either love it or hate it, I guess, and I loved it. So it's time to get back to Thailand.
Personally, I have my first vlog coming out tomorrow on this. Is I want to get super fit within the next year. That's my personal 1-year journey that I am undertaking. Flab to fab at 55. I've been inspired by some of my friends over the last few months, and American Ninja Warrior, to go find my six pack. So
okay.
That's where I want to be at this time next year.
And my goal for this year and many more is I'm going to learn a language to proficiency, as close as I can get, every year. So starting today, I'm going to get my Italian up to speed. And I think I can do that in 6 months, since I speak Italian pretty poorly already. So. And
this is different than the Speak in a Week challenge that we're giving ourselves for each country.
Right. I want to be able to converse well.
Speak in a Week is really about just doing some basic communications, picking up some language along the way, just enhancing your journey. It's going from tourist to traveler, to being more adept in the country.
It's just enough to break that barrier that we talked about earlier, so that you can really start to get make some friends and get into the culture. And instead of just being a tourist walking around on a tour taking pictures, you're going to local places and getting invited and speaking with them.
So he's going to do that on top of learning a new language every year.
We'll see what happens.
Now we're going to answer some of the questions we get asked most often throughout the year.
First one is, you must be rich. How do you afford to do this?
We're not rich. We have 2 20-ish-year-old kids. We sold all of our belongings, so we don't have overhead, first of all.
Right.
We don't have a car, we don't have a house, we don't have anything other than our kids' bills. So we just have transferred our living expenses to the expenses on the road.
Right.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. I get a paycheck, I work, normal life, except it's in different countries all the time.
We've transferred the expenses. Instead of a mortgage, we have an Airbnb. Instead of a car payment and registration, insurance and maintenance, we have airfare.
Yep.
It's much cheaper to live our lifestyle than it is to live in the United States.
Cheaper in some places and more expensive in others, and it is.
For sure.
But even in Italy, which was probably our most expensive place.
Italy and France, probably the 2 most expensive.
We're still coming out ahead. So
absolutely.
It's good.
And, here in Albania,
and it's Italy,
including our housing costs, we're spending about $1,700 a month. Total, yeah.
And we're on the beach with a view.
So another question we get asked often is, do you miss being home?
So, yes and no. I do miss, being home when I know friends and family are struggling, or, I miss my mom, I miss my sister, I miss my kids, although, I talk and text at them, with them, mostly at them, a lot. So yes, I do. But communication is so easy that it's really easy to keep in touch with people.
Yeah, so like Kim, I miss seeing the boys and the rest of my family and our friends, but really looking at it because of the age of the kids, we would probably see them less if we lived there. Because now it's a real point. We come back to the United States, we spend time together.
We force them into it.
I don't miss the lifestyle in the United States because the quality of life in all the countries we've been in has been so much better in terms of people are just more relaxed and more happy and friendly, and they just seem to be enjoying life a lot more.
It actually took a little adjustment for us to realize that when you go out for coffee, it is not for the purpose of caffeinating yourself.
No.
Although I still use it that way. But like everything is just much more intentional. They play harder than they work for sure. Not to say that they don't work hard.
They relax harder than they work.
They just they truly do work on that whole balance thing, and you notice it when you spend a lot of time outside of the hustle and bustle of a typical daily life in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, people go to work and they get stuff done, but they don't become their job. And we spend an hour to hour and a half having coffee in the morning, and there's people there before us who are still there after we leave. So it's really about enjoying life and just relaxing.
And each other.
And your friends and your family that you're with here. And the other thing that I love about being out of the U.S. that I don't miss is the quality of food.
Oh my God.
You don't. It's hard if you haven't left the U.S. It's hard to imagine that we have really low quality food in the U.S. I've gained a few pounds for the very first time after traveling. The quality of food is a lot better here. It's just more tasty. It's much less expensive for really, really good stuff. Wine, cheese, olives.
You're primarily always buying organic here. They don't have organic aisles. When you buy something, you're getting stuff that's fresh, and I think that's the biggest. How do we avoid travel burnout?
So I don't even know what that means.
I haven't thought about it yet. I'm happy.
Yeah, I agree. This is exactly what I want to do, and I'm doing it.
I'm assuming one day we might get tired of it.
Yeah, we'll get burnt out on this eventually, I think, and then we'll just find a place we want to hang out more longer.
I can see us transitioning from a new place every month to a new place maybe every quarter. Maybe it's a slow transition to somewhere.
Right.
We're going home for 6 weeks in a few weeks, so we'll be home through the end of the year. Our goal next year, though, is to be only in the United States for 35 days or less, because when you do, a big part of your income is tax exempt, so it's a huge tax savings for us if we can stay out of the U.S.
A related question is, do you get tired of living out of a suitcase?
I actually find it so freeing not to worry about what I'm wearing. It's just easy.
Our packing and unpacking system we've got it really good. So we're never living out of a suitcase. We literally we get to the Airbnb, and 5 minutes later, everything is in the closets and in the drawers, and the suitcases are stuffed away somewhere, and I feel like we're just in an apartment somewhere.
Yeah.
Which I guess we are in an apartment somewhere.
So nope to that.
So another question we have is, how do we choose the next destination? This year it was driven on a couple of things. One was our kids, where they wanted to go and where they wanted to meet us. And that's why we're in the Balkans. We really didn't have this on our radar this year. At all, but we've been to 4 or 5 countries here in the Balkans, and it's been great. And of course, the other driver is what's close, what's inexpensive to get to, and other kind of miscellaneous things that we just go with the flow.
Yeah, so I think our big criteria is, can we have a good quality of life within our budget? Because we have a budget.
And this is why we haven't been to Switzerland, Norway, Sweden, Singapore.
It's coming.
We're really not to make plans, I guess, more than one country ahead.
Yeah, too far in advance.
Right. The only exception to that is when we go back to the U.S.
Yeah.
And the last question to wrap this up is, what travel gadgets do we have to have?
I think the one thing is a adapter with multiple USB ports. Because we are an electronic family, we need to be plugging things in.
So I had that little adapter thing on my list too, because
the best
going through different countries, you need all the different types of plugs and stuff. So the other travel gadget that I found really useful this time were the packing cubes for the suitcase, because you just get everything right there, and it literally just comes out of the suitcase into the drawer. You unzip it, and it's done. And then when you're packing to go, you close it, zip it, and it goes right in the suitcase. And it's just like that.
So there you go. A look back, a little look ahead as to what we're looking forward to. And we just want to say thank you for following along with us. We've enjoyed our conversations. I hope you guys keep, talking with us. And yeah, just thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Well, here's to one more year.
Bye.